What's up, YouTube? This is your friendly neighborhood movie nerd, back to give you guys everything that is going on in the world of movies and TV. Well, another summer has come and gone, and I am happy to say that unlike last summer, this summer was full of success. So not necessarily for the box office, as this summer box office was very disappointing, with this past Labor Day being the lowest grossing Labor Day weekend in almost 20 years. But we're not here to talk about money, we're here to talk about movies, goddammit. And although I'm really mad because my move to college disrupted my chance to possibly see Good Time in theaters, I will say that I did a pretty good job covering the indies this summer and really tuning out the crappy blockbusters that ruined last summer for me. So without further ado, these are my top 10 favorite movies of summer of 2017. But first, here are some honorable mentions.
All you do is yell at each other. You're not friends.
Ground. We shall never surrender. We shall never surrender.
How much time left?
Our destiny is in your hands.
Hey, where are you going?
Number 10. Logan Lucky. Steven Soderbergh's return to the big screen may not have been the smash hit I was expecting, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing that you can't enjoy about this movie. Despite a slow pace, I would say the movie has a lot of endearment and heart to it, and the credit for all of that goes to Soderbergh, because if there's one thing that this guy knows how to do, it's work with an ensemble cast. Despite a lot of people in this movie who I felt were wasted, the central players brought their all. Despite this being a comedy, Channing Tatum gives one of the most leveled out, dramatic performances I've seen from him, while Adam Driver and Daniel Craig kill it comedy-wise in their supporting roles, with Driver delivering on the deadpan while Craig kills it with one of the more chameleonic performances I've seen so far all year. Not a smash hit, but still definitely enjoyable enough. Logan Lucky makes its spot here at my number 10. Number 9. Wonder Woman. I don't need to go into any more detail about how badly DC burned us last year with Batman vs Superman and Suicide Squad, which is why it was so refreshing to not just get a good average superhero movie with a female lead, but a kick-ass great movie with a female lead. Gal Gadot was the best part about Batman vs Superman in her 10 minutes of screen time, and she kills it again here. Not just for being the most badass warrior we all know her to be, but also because she is the first hero in this whole goddamn DC extended universe who actually cares about saving people. Not only that, but her interactions with Chris Pine and Steve Trevor provided easily some of the best romance I've ever seen in a superhero movie. Yeah, the movie had problems, the villains sucked, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the Amazonian accents, but overall it was a really refreshing entry in a genre that is slowly becoming very, very oversaturated, which is why it makes its spot here at my number 9. Number 8. Atomic Blonde. So in the world of movies, a term has come about that has been very popular in the past couple of years, and that would be style over substance. What that means is that filmmakers sometimes feel that making a film look technically as awesome as possible is more important than the script and the story. And the reason why that term has become so popular now is because it's part of a series of phrases that critics are now using to describe a lot of blockbusters we're getting in a negative light. And the reason why I'm putting so much emphasis on this is because this movie is one of the very few examples where that actually works. The story here is nothing we haven't seen before. It's the exact same plot setup as Mission Impossible, Skyfall, and so many other spy movies. Pretty sure it was also in one of the Bourne movies, and the plot is convoluted as hell. But goddamn, if this is not some of the best cinematography and well-shot action I've seen this year, and I would expect nothing less from the co-director of John Wick. Charlize is fantastic in this, as she is in all things, and James McAvoy steals every single scene that he's in. I honestly really want to see a spin-off around his character, and the thing about the action that made it so great wasn't the awesome moves or the amazing camera work, which there was one shot in this movie that blew the rest of the movie away, in my opinion. Rather, how it actually showed that these characters getting the shit beat out of them, kind of showing the humanity behind, and kind of, you know, taking the fuzz and kind of almost parodying the big action hits of the 80s, which is really something you never see in action movies. Overall, this is just one of the few movies that came out this summer that I find you could really just sit back, relax, and be entertained without like having too many problems with it or just being annoyed and made to feel stupid, which is why it makes a spot here at my number 8. Number 7. War for the Planet of the Apes. Man, oh man, if it isn't gonna go down as Andy Serkis's latest snub. Now, I get it. I understand where the Academy is coming from when it comes to motion capture performances, because yes, the actor is only doing half of the performance, the other half is the computer animators. With that being said, Andy Serkis wraps up his phenomenal arc as Caesar the Ape in this great, yeah, that's right, I said great, third installment and quite possibly the best prequel trilogy I've ever seen. Continuing from the fantastic material that was set up in the first two installments, this movie fully embraces some very adult themes that most of our blockbusters are terrified to even touch, such as refusal to accept change, evolution, the constant struggle of survival against the fittest, and overall just how humans are eventually going to ensure their own extinction, but in such a way that you aren't hit over the head with it, even to the point where you see apes in a friggin' concentration camp. I also really don't want to undersell the performances outside of Circus because every single one of these actors, both motion capture and regular, did a really fantastic job. Major props to Steve Zahn as Bad Ape, to quite possibly his best performance yet, and War for the Planet of the Apes. While not my favorite of this specific trilogy, it still is a great ending to a great overall trilogy, one of the last ones we've gotten quite possibly, and that's why it makes its spot here at my number 7. Number 6. Ingrid Goes West. I fucking love Aubrey Plaza. I love her so much on Parks and Rec, and it makes me so sad that I still haven't seen Safety Not Guaranteed in the to-do list and all the other great indies that she's done. But I told myself I'm not going to miss this one, and I'm really glad I saw it because what I got out of this is one of the darkest and funniest social satires concerning people's addiction to social media that I've ever seen. As Ingrid, Aubrey is simultaneously psychotic and relatable in her quest to find friendship and acceptance, and every step of her journey is harrowingly, simultaneously depressing and hilarious. Every frame of this film is meticulously documented brilliantly by director Matt Spicer, and you've also got a fantastic supporting cast with the likes of Elizabeth Olsen, O'Shea Jackson Jr., and Wyatt Russell, who all turn out fantastic performances. But the best thing this movie does, it shows that when it comes to all this technology we have at our disposal, it's not the tech that's the problem, it's the people who use it and how they use it, which is why Ingrid Goes West makes my number 6. Number 5. Wind River. So Elizabeth Olsen is killing it so far this summer with the indies, and she does it again here in this installment about a murder on a Native American reservation. Olsen and Marvel co-star Jeremy Renner shine here, but it's breakout director Taylor Sheridan who's the real star of this film, as he draws a lot of inspiration from some of the best westerns of the past to give a new, bleak, and very haunting look into the future. I'm really happy that Sheridan, who's already proved himself to be a fantastic writer with two of the best films of the past 2 years, is able to knock it out of the park directing-wise, because he's able to give off a new sense of originality that I really haven't seen before, by giving us a harrowing look into just how isolated the rest of the country can feel when you get out of the city, as well as really giving us a haunting inside look as to what Native Americans have been reduced to. This film should win the Oscar for Best Cinematography alone. You've got some great supporting performances in there too, besides Renner and Olsen. These two really lock it down. I have a feeling that this film is most likely going to be snubbed when it comes to the Oscars, but it is a really, really great movie, kind of like what Hell or High Water was last summer, which is why it makes my spot here at number 5. Number 4. The Big Sick. Since so many movies nowadays are so somber, depressing, and deep, it's nice whenever you can get a nice, sweet, little fun movie. But what makes that movie even better is when it can do something that very few movies can do, where it hits that perfect little sweet spot right between sad and happy that simultaneously shoots you right in the gut and then makes you feel just a little bit happier afterwards. And that's exactly what The Big Sick does. Kumail Nanjiani from Silicon Valley does a fantastic job co-writing and acting in this movie. He really shows here that he has got some serious acting chops, and Ray Romano and Holly Hunter are probably the best older white couple I've seen in a very long time. I love how endearing this movie is, but I also really appreciate how it doesn't stray into cliche territory. I'm not the biggest fan of romance stories because of my own experiences with love. They just haven't been that great. So when you get a movie that can really tug on my heartstrings, you know you've got yourself a win, which is why The Big Sick makes my number 4. Number 3. Detroit. Over the last couple of years, Catherine Bigelow has taken the world by storm with her 2 massive critical hits, and she does it again here with a haunting look at one of the darkest events that happened in recent U.S. history, presenting the Algier motel shootings against the backdrop of the 1967 Detroit 12th Street riots. This movie is beautifully shot with that gracious handheld, in-the-moment style that Bigelow has become known for, making a gritty and in-your-face movie that does not hold back when it comes to the prejudice and hatred that this particular event was so guilty of. The cast here is fantastic with the likes of Will Poulter, John Boyega, Algie Smith, Jacob Lattimore, and more, all churning out fantastic performances. Poulter in particular gives an Oscar-friggin' worthy performance, and I really hate saying that because I feel like in all of these black oppression movies, the white racist piece of shit always gives the best performance in the whole movie, because it's the same thing that happened with Fassbender in 2013 with 12 Years a Slave. But this is a movie that I definitely recommend seeing in theaters because it is an important movie. It's a story that I feel needs to be told. It also happens to be one of the best movies I've seen all year, besides just the summer, which is why it makes its spot here at my number 3. Number 2. Baby Driver. So with everyone's expectations for the summer being just another onslaught of shitty big budget sequels, reboots, and more, this gem snuck its way through and proved that you still can be full of action, comedy, explosions, violence, and just overall fun and still be original. Edgar Wright dropped Ant-Man to do this movie, and I'm so glad that he did, because if you just like film, if you like watching movies in general, then you will love this movie. It is so much fun. Sure, the heist angle you've seen before, but the characters are just so endearing. The writing is off the charts good. Every single character in this movie is great, even if some of the performances are meh. Jamie Foxx and John Hamm in particular are spectacular. I love the way that Edgar Wright edits every action scene in this movie to a specific song. He one-ups James Gunn in this movie, I dare say. I love the use of movie. Oh, God. This movie is just really, really great. I can't say enough. And I'm also really glad that for once an Edgar Wright movie did not underperform at the box office. That is very, very encouraging to hear. And that is why Baby Driver makes its spot here on my number 2.
And my number 1 selection is
Brigsby Bear. And out of the frying pan and into the fire, we have easily not one of the best movies I've seen all summer, but quite possibly one of my favorite movies of the decade so far. So it was tough to pick between this and Baby Driver, and don't get me wrong, I love action and fun just as much as the next person. But with that being said, I'm a very cold and emotionless person who's had to sit through a lot of shitty movies that I don't care about. So when I get a movie like this, that not only makes me feel just a tad bit of emotion, but makes me come out of the theater cheering because of how, like, emotionally enveloped I get. I know I've got a winner on my hands. Kyle Mooney kicks so much ass in this movie as James the lead. He gives quite possibly the best performance of the year because he manages to hit that perfect blend of sweet naivety without it being weird or stupid as this man James, who is held against his will for the first 25 years of his life, being brought up on the idea of this bear named Brigsby. So when he gets let out, he is determined to go out into the world and introduce the world to Brigsby and make this Brigsby movie against all costs. This film is ingeniously written by Mooney and co-writer Kevin Costello and brilliantly directed by SNL segment director Dave McCary, as well as being produced by The Lonely Island. This movie is sweet, it's innocent, it's fun, it's joyful, it's got a lot of heart in it, it's got a lot of creativity in it. If you like film, if you are just passionate about something, then this movie will speak to you, which is something you really don't see a lot of the time in movies. And for me, it continues with the trend of following your dream, no matter how far it takes you. And it's a really good thing that this guy is so relatable, because if it were handled by anyone else, I feel like this movie would have just been straight up weird and creepy. But in the hands of The Lonely Islands, this turned out to be one of the best movies I've seen so far, not just in the summer, but in the decade. Brigsby Bear is my number 1 favorite movie of the summer of 2017. So that's it. Those are my favorite movies of summer of 2017. Did I miss anything? Of course I did. I know I haven't seen Good Time, but what are your guys' top 10 favorite movies of summer of 2017? Blech. Whatever you guys think, make sure you leave it in the comments below. Make sure you also click that like button and that subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at Movie Nerd Review. Also head on over to the website, movienerdreviews.com. That is it. I will see you guys next time.